Welcome to Ultimate Survival Gear. Today, as you guys can see, I have absolutely no surprise in front of me, just the boots. No box today for my demonstration boots on the table, unfortunately, but these are Merrell's Moab Tactical. Yes, now I have to say I reviewed quite a few Moab models from Merrell, but those were all hiking boots. This time, for the very first time on this channel, it is the tactical boots from Merrell, so I am very excited. Currently $125 on Amazon. The link is in the description below. Overall, if you don't have time to watch the whole review, very comfortable. I'm very impressed. They are waterproof, and waterproofing does work pretty good outsole, but we will get into the details later. If you really are interested in buying these boots, I definitely recommend watching the whole review, because this is not any regular kind of review. This review is specifically for my Ultimate Survival boots section. Yes, basically, if this were not just your, well, these are tactical boots. So if you are buying this, you probably have some kind of survival, combat, tactical situation in mind. That involves wearing these for extended periods of time, running, fighting in them, climbing, I don't know, whatever, however you imagine your survival situation. And if these really were the boots that you were wearing, would they be good for your survival, or would they get you killed? Now, how do we make the judgment? We make the judgment based on 8 different criteria. Let's begin with the criteria number 1, comfort level. And in order to test the comfort level of all the boots and shoes that I review on this channel, if you have been subscribed, you already know I do 3-mile run and then a 5-mile walk without stopping, without taking the boots off, and then I continue wearing them for the rest of the day, so that the total wear time is 8 hours. And like I said in the beginning, these are very comfortable. There are a few factors that contribute to the comfort. Let's start with the first one, the weight. Now, of course, I expect this to be on the heavier side. I mean, this is 8-inch shaft, waterproof, you have plenty of protection, which we will talk about later. So I am thinking should be around 22 ounce, but let's see, this is size 10, and the size 10 is, and I'm getting really good at this stuff, almost 22 ounce, 21.9. Now I have to say, like I said, this is to be expected. 8-inch, waterproof, plenty of protection. Look at how bulky the outsole is. Definitely something to expect. Now, if you want something that is more on the lightweight side, I usually recommend going under 20 ounce. The more under 20 ounce you go, 20 ounce is sort of that kind of like a gold standard. Now, 2 ounces over 20 ounce, it's not necessarily that you're gonna be heavyweight or too bulky or anything like that. It's just what your personal kind of threshold is. So are you looking for more protection, for more proofing, right? Waterproofing, insulation, whatever. Or you're looking for something that is lightweight. Are you willing to compromise one for the other? But here in this case, 22 is not bad at all. Okay, let's move on to another factor that contributes to the comfort level, is the flexibility of the outsole. And here, as you can see, even though it is bulky, it is actually pretty flexible. It's actually surprisingly flexible. So running in these properly is definitely doable. Even though they're on the bulkier, heavier side, still with the flexibility of the outsole, you can definitely do that properly. Plus, I wanted to point out that the location of the creasing here is very nice and very soft fabric, so it doesn't create any unnecessary pressure points on your foot. But let's move on to the inner sole, and let me see if I can actually take out the inner sole to demonstrate it, because it is absolutely excellent. Merrell nailed the inner sole here. Check this out. Super defined heel bed. I mean, this is probably the most defined heel bed that I've ever seen in the inner sole. Super excellent support. All right, I don't have the words for it. Really nice. Very defined arch support, and you got your ventilation holes. Now, overall, this is more on the firmer side. So if you prefer those softer, cushier, jelly type of inner soles, you might want to consider this. But you still do have some extra jelliness here at the heel, which is great. This is really where you need it, just in case if you're putting too much impact on your heel, so that that impact doesn't transfer to the ankles and to the knees. But If you're looking for good heel bed support, and if you're looking for arch support, the real arch support, this is it right here. Merrell, they just nailed it. Okay, so let's talk about another factor that contributes to the comfort level. Is of course all the padding, and I'm gonna demonstrate it really quickly. As you can see, the tongue is nicely padded, the whole shaft is very nicely padded, and throughout the whole boot you have a very nice soft padding. So whenever it comes to comfort, yes, you do have a little bit of extra weight, but with all the padding, with all the support, you might just be, you know, it might be worth the compromise. All right, compromising on a little bit of the weight. But let's be done with the comfort level. Let's move on to the criteria number 2, proofing and protection. Now, like I said, these are waterproof. As you can see right here, it says waterproof. Now let me show you the gusseting here. The gusseting is not very impressive. It is pretty low over here, as you can see. About 2.5-3 inches of the shaft is not being utilized for the waterproofing clearance because of the low gusseting. Another thing that I wanted to point out, one of you guys pointed this out, is that the lining, the waterproof lining, just because the gusseting goes all the way to the top, it's not always the case that the waterproof lining goes all the way to the top, which definitely makes sense. And here you can actually see where the waterproof lining stops. It stops at the same level as the gusseting. Still it's, you know, 3 inches of waterproofing clearance that Merrell could have implemented here. They did not. Is that a huge deal? No, just when you getting yourself an 8-inch shaft boot, don't expect to have 8 inches of waterproofing clearance. Don't step in a creek that is 8 inches like or 7.5 inches deep, right? Because the lining doesn't go all the way to the top. Now let's move on to the protection. Here, as you can see, you do have a little bit of a kind of a design pattern going. Still a very soft toe box, so don't drop anything heavy on your foot. Obviously you have some protection in the shaft and you have some protection in the heel. Outsole is great, we will talk about it later, but you have plenty of protection from the outsole as well. Let's move on to the criteria number 3 now, quality and the design features. Now, quality wise, if you're not familiar with Merrell brand, they know what they're doing whenever it comes to the outdoors, which I think is very important because whenever you design hiking, backpacking, mountaineering boots, you definitely have to keep that, you know, long distances in mind. You're walking for long distances, you're wearing the boots for the extended periods of time, so that comfort level is very, very important, and Merrell knows it. So whenever they're making tactical boots, a lot of times, a lot of brands out there, you know, they make tactical boots, there's a lot of protection because there is, you know, some kind of survival combat situation that is in mind. But whenever it comes to comfort, usually a lot of popular tactical boot brands, they are lacking. Not the case here because Merrell knows about comfort, and you can actually see it here. Now, if you check out the link in the description below for Amazon, there's over 200 reviews, almost 5 stars. So people do like this particular model from Merrell, just like all the other boots from Merrell. Really, people like that brand. It's a good brand. It's really hard to go wrong. Now let's talk about the design features really quickly. Usually here I talk about the lacing system. Here, as you can see, there are 5 fabric hooks, and then there are 3 pairs of closed hooks, which are made out of heavy-duty plastic. The strings themselves are nice, thick, round strings, which I do like. But the best feature of the lacing system is, of course, yes, the YKK zipper. It's really hard to go with a side zip in tactical boot. Why? Because, I mean, with the closed hooks, you will spend some time putting them off, and you don't want to spend a lot of time putting them off and taking them off, putting them on and taking them off next time, right? And this is where the zipper comes into play, which actually nicely locks in place with this Velcro right here. All right, down with the criteria number 3. Let's move on to the criteria number 4, outsole. Traction and stability. Now, this is the Vibram outsole, which is one of the best quality rubbers that you can get yourself. Really happy to see this implemented on a tactical boot, because again, a lot of times, one of the things that is neglected in a tactical boot is the fact that the outsole that is being used is just not good enough, it's not versatile enough. Here, as you can see, it's a very good balance between aggression and flatness. Whenever I do my runs and my walk to test the boot for comfort, I also test it on a variety of different surfaces to test the outsole, and this one handles pretty much anything you throw in it because there is plenty of flatness, so it handles very well on sandy surfaces. You don't really dig in, the mud doesn't get stuck in between the grooves, and at the same time it handles very well on slippery stuff like wet grass, for example, because there's plenty of aggression. So Merrell definitely nailed this one as well. Okay, let's move on to the criteria number 5 really quick. Temperature. Now this is more of a 3-season boot. Can you get away with this in the winter? Yeah, you definitely can. They are waterproof after all. Just keep in mind they don't really have any insulation, so nothing extreme. Probably down to 30-35 with good merino wool socks, you will be just fine, right? But for extended periods of time, you might, your feet might get cold. But for literally anything else, any kind of other weather, whether it's hot or whether it's mildly cold, this will be just fine. You do have waterproofing here, so they're not going to be as breathable as the non-waterproof version. So it's again kind of a compromise that you have to keep in mind. Okay, let's move on to the criteria number 6, the sizing. True to the size, no problems over there. I do recommend getting half a size bigger so that you have a little bit of extra space in the toe box, just so that your toe is not touching the very front of the toe box. When you're going downhill, that definitely is gonna bother you quite a lot. You'll get fatigued over extended periods of time going downhill if the boots are just the right size and your toe is slightly touching the front of the toe box. You don't want that. But let's move on to the criteria number 7, balance of application. So if this really was your ultimate survival boot, would this be good for your survival, or would it get you killed? Well, I don't think it will get you killed. This is, after all, an excellent boot. If you don't mind a little bit, a few extra ounce, if you don't mind your shaft being waterproof only like 5.5 inches and not the whole 8 inches, you're gonna appreciate this quite a lot. I mean, this is quality. The outsole is fantastic. It's Vibram rubber, which is, like I said, one of the best quality rubbers that you can get yourself for the outsole. The comfort is just spot on. There's a side zip, which is excellent to have on your tactical boots. So, if you are considering a survival situation which will involve wearing a boot for extended periods of time, and comfort is important, and the versatility of the outsole, different terrains is important, you're definitely going to appreciate this one. And let's move on to the very last criterion here, is criteria number 8, the price. Like I said in the beginning, $125 currently on Amazon. The link is in the description below. I have to say, it's very impressive price, considering that you're getting yourself a quality, from a quality brand, a quality boot, super comfortable, waterproof, Vibram outsole. $125? Yeah, I have to say, it's pretty impressive. Although there is actually a discount right now, it's actually $160. But right now with the discount, they go for $125. So if you really are interested, right now might be the good time to get yourself these boots. But let me know in the comments below, guys, what do you think about this review? What do you think about these boots? If you have any requests for reviews, drop them in the comments below. As always, thank you very much for watching. God bless you all. This was Ultimate Survival Gear. See you guys in the next video.